this is a bit early, but I'm going to be talking about something which honestly I do kind of worry about, because this is something that recently kind of came out recently, and I'm really dating this video, but honestly, Titanfall and Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, two games which pretty much, at a sense, they both kind of have their controversial moments for what they offer and how people see them. On one hand, you have Titanfall, a massively multiplayer game which people play for hours and hours on end. However, at the same time, the game itself really doesn't have anything for story. It doesn't have pretty much all that good stuff for the online. Really doesn't put all that much in it, and it is and is a very honest bare bones game, pretty much just giving you the online mode and the Titans. Whereas on the other hand, we have Ground Zeroes, a game which has a very short runtime, and honestly, it has a lot of modes. It has a lot of things to collect, and also it has all these terrains. It has all these good enemies and all this good AI. Whereas on the flip side, Titanfall has very terrible AI, has very terrible landscapes and all this other stuff in which that people complain about how that the maps are too big and everything. And then on the flip, then back on Metal Gear's side, it's like you have all these options. It's just well made. So pretty much the argument is, are these games worth their price? And pretty much, should you necessarily get them based on the price or gameplay? And does that hinder you wanting to go out and buy them? Because I can look at Metal Gear and say, yes, it is a good game. It plays well. The game is challenging. It pretty much has all these good story points. It has basically everything that I want. The only idea is that the game feels like a demo, and a lot of people have actually spoken about beating the game within an hour, and even beating the online modes, or not online modes, but actually beating the special modes or all the add-on modes within like another hour. So honestly, in a sense, it is a good game, but at the same time, you're paying like $30 to $20 for, for essentially a really good and well-polished 2-hour game. Whereas on the flip side of that, you have Titanfall, a game that is only about, I'd say, over like 60 hours, and that is necessarily including multiplayer and all the things in which that you can do on that to level up, do story, do all these other things, and honestly, it does have that going for it. And honestly, you look at a game like that, and it's like, I can do all these things, but yet at the same time, I really don't have all that much after I've beaten the story mode and I'm finished and washed out with and I'm burnt out of multiplayer. So in a sense, you really got to ask the question: for $30, would I want to get a $20 game, or for $60, would I want to get a game in which that I'm only playing it for 2 modes? In the mass majority of me personally, I probably would move more towards Metal Gear. However, at the same time, it's not necessarily a thing in which that a lot of people, they really don't kind of look at it when they look at the reviews of these 2 games. Whereas Titanfall, a lot of people would necessarily look at that and say, like, I can actually play that game online for possibly a lot longer, because I have friends and I have all these things in which that I can go online and just kill time and play it. Whereas Metal Gear, on the other hand, this 2-hour story and all this other thing, even with the collectibles, that's probably pushing me up like about 3 more hours. Which that, seriously, for like a $30 game, it really isn't all that much. And also, Metal Gear Ground Zeroes, it also gets compared to Dead Rising 2 Case Zero, a $5 game, which was around the same time limit, but at the same time, people still kind of had a problem with it. And I really got to ask the question. It's like a polished game in time, which that like, it's like time, scope, and cost. Those are basically the major triangle for basically every game. And the idea, or at least like the biggest controversy with Metal Gear, is the fact that people call it a demo. Whereas on the other hand, people honestly excuse Titanfall because of the multiplayer, which kind of makes me think if that like if the multiplayer wasn't necessarily in that, what would the response be for Titanfall? Because that's its saving grace. Whereas Metal Gear, on the other hand, its biggest saving grace is also its biggest problem, in which that the saving grace is the fact that the game is replayable and you have all these different options and all these other ways to play it. However, at the same time, a lot of people kind of see that a 6-minute run to like a 3-hour run necessarily, or not even like 3 hours, more or less like an hour and a half, really isn't the price of $30 or $20. You know, because I can honestly see if the game was $5, I honestly, or pretty much the biggest reason why I'm making this video is because for both of these games, they really aren't based on gameplay. People don't necessarily review the games based on gameplay. I mean, they kind of mention the gameplay, but at the end of the day, they mostly talk about price. And I can honestly understand why they would value the game more towards price rather than actual gameplay. Or at least like gameplay is important, but seriously, price, you know, with how the economy's going and how people kind of look at money, there is a thing of saying like we can't sell Metal Gear for $5, but you know, or Titanfall for $30, give or take with what that game is. And it's a thing of like, if you look at the price, then look at what you were offered. More and more people would actually move more towards Titanfall. And honestly, the Ground Zeroes game, even if it was a demo, that game would not be a demo because how it's structured and how everything else is in there. They wouldn't structure that game as a demo. I mean, like a lot of people would classify it as a demo, but honestly, demos aren't even demos anymore. Those things are like shorter than like 6 minutes. So there's always that. But honestly, the major point is, or at least like this is the biggest question that I'm asking people. I know that I really didn't hit on too many of my points, really, because I'm kind of, because it's difficult to try and put what I'm trying to say into words. But looking at the two games, Metal Gear Ground Zeroes, Titanfall, it has really good multiplayer, which honestly kind of takes the whole time and cost thing and pretty much gives you enough there in which that you don't feel ripped off. However, on the flip side of that, you have Metal Gear Metal Gear Ground Zeroes, which does have better AI, it has better feel, it has pretty much everything you want within a Metal Gear game, and it's really, really good. However, you got to ask the question of, does that $30 price tag or $20 price tag, does that detract from the game's value? Which is the same thing for Titanfall. For what Titanfall offers, does a $60 price tag, does that detract from its value, or does that make it, or does the multiplayer make up for it? The same question for Ground Zeroes. If it's $30 to $20, does this game short length and its replay value, does it detract from the game's value? That's pretty much what I want to know. And I know that this is a long-winded thing just to ask a question, but me personally, I feel that both games are really, really good, but at the end of the day, it's like I would kind of move way more towards Ground Zeroes. So that's kind of what I got to say about that. What do you guys think about it? Please tell me down there in the comment section. I'll catch you on the next John Graves show. So please keep watching anime, keep playing video games. I am out.